What is up, everybody? Today we have Skorch the Fears with my guy, Matt Cunningham. He is an amazing real estate investor. He's crushing 5 to 6 wholesale deals every single month using SimplSend, using just methods he's learned from my social media and other people's social medias. And I wanted to bring him on the podcast today, have a little fun, do all sorts of dope stuff, learn his story, learn how he got to the place he's at, because his story is a little bit unconventional in the sense he's not part of any of the normal communities. He just learned from people in the communities. So guys, it's going to be awesome. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, brother.
Yeah. So real quick, I want to start off. The name of this podcast is Skorch the Fears, right? I don't know if you've seen an episode of Skorch the Fears, but what we talk about is getting over our fears, going through those initial fears where we are pushing forward, we're getting through them, and it's because it's really hard as when you're just starting off, right? And learning how to do that. So I want to know from you, this is the first question I ask most people. First, give like a little description of your business. I should have you do that, and then I'm gonna ask this question. So real quick, go just into your business. It's just wholesaling, I think.
Just wholesale.
But where are you wholesaling? Let's just start there. Cool. And how many are you doing?
Yep. So we wholesale all over Florida right now, primarily in Central Florida, Tampa Bay.
Nice.
We're doing like 5 to 6 deals a month consistently now.
Nice.
It's me. I have a TC. I have a dispositions rep and 2 act managers. So
nice.
I built out a team, and yeah, it's going good.
Nice. Cool. Amazing. So build out a team, but let's go back to right when you were starting, right when you were doing your first couple, like maybe before you even did your first deal, right when you're just getting in. What were the fears that you were dealing with, and how did you overcome them?
Honestly, one of my biggest fears was just not getting started.
Okay.
So, it was either like I was gonna get rich or die trying. So it was one of those things that it wasn't up to me. It was just I had to do the thing.
Right.
So that was make the phone calls. Of course, it's always nerve wracking.
Yeah.
But I just did it. So
nice.
Make phone calls, make it happen. I did my first deal. It took me 4 months. Then I had a bit of a dry spell. I can do another deal for 6 months.
Right.
And it didn't get consistent until I switched to agent outreach, which led to me doing a deal every other month or so. Sometimes I would skip a month. I would do a deal every other.
So we started direct to sell.
Yep.
We started there.
Yep.
Right. And then we went, and then how did we find out about direct to agent? Why did we start doing direct to agent? What caused that shift?
Yep. So I actually started listening to more of Jamil's stuff online, just YouTube University, hearing all about the agent outreach methods and how he's doing deals with no money.
Yeah.
I was interested. I was a broke college freshman, so I was like, I need to find a way to make this happen.
Nice.
So that's when I switched over, and I've always knew about agent outreach in the beginning.
Yeah.
I just thought I heard all the gurus talking about on YouTube, go direct to sell, get your own big deals. So I tried it, spent some money. I did that, and then eventually I got on a call with, shout out to the Trina brothers.
Yeah.
I got on a call with Dylan early on, and he told me pretty much just call 50 agents a day.
I love it.
Changed my life.
And then, so call 50 agents a day. What caused the shift? Was it just wasn't really working with direct to seller? Was there something you didn't like about it? What makes you prefer direct to agent over direct to seller?
I think it was just a never ending wheel, if that makes sense, with direct to seller, because I was one person doing it. So I would work so hard to get a lead. I would nurture that lead. I would potentially make an offer on that lead. And then I have to restart the pipeline. Like today we even did a deal. I have to restart the pipeline after it's over. So it's very transactional, and I just wanted a way to make more of a relationship built business. So
I love it.
That's what made me switch agents.
Amazing. So you haven't joined a single program yet.
No.
That's pretty cool. Everyone who I talk to has been like, hey, you always have to join Astro. You always have to join Sub 2. You don't have to join these programs to be doing deals, guys. You could literally hit me up, hit John Galan up, hit people who just know what they're doing and just go all in on those strategies, right? Because with me, I'm starting to release a ton of YouTube content for the people like watching and doing this now. I release a ton of different things all over the place. So what I want to know is, when you were going through it, you're going through your toughest times, right? Like you're like, God, I just don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. All of that type of stuff. What had you connect with Jamil, with people like me, with people like the Tranter brothers?
Mhm.
Like, what attracted you towards us versus any of the other gurus out there?
I think they were just relatable,
Yeah.
honestly. Just they resonated with me, what they were saying. I could tell that they were actual human beings, not just sitting there preaching something. So, of course, at the end of the day, they were really being authentic online, and I could just feel that energy even watching their videos. So I learned everything I could, soaked it all up on YouTube for free. So it's definitely
Nice.
possible.
Yeah. So, what would you do to replicate? What would you tell someone to
Mhm.
replicate that, right? Because I think it's incredibly hard to do it without a course, without a mentor, right? So, like, what do you feel like? Do you talk to anybody in Astro that you kept up with to like help you with different things or ask questions? How did you outreach to those people? How did you like learn the basics, especially when you had questions? Even because you can't learn, it's really hard to learn everything from a YouTube video. So, what did you do in order to like connect with people in Astro, like the Tranter brothers? Like, how did you reach out? How did you do it in a way where they actually wanted to work with you so you could be doing 5 to 6 deals a month?
Absolutely. So I was essentially inserting myself into the community without officially being into the community. So I knew to do that, I had to bring value to others that were in the community. So I started reaching out to John Galan. I do a lot of business with him in the Tampa Bay area. I started sending him deals pretty much exclusively.
Yeah.
And he would sell all of our deals. And even though if I knew we could sell it, I still sent it to him because I saw the value in sending it to him.
Talk about that. What is the value of using a dispo wholesaler in general?
There's definitely a lot of value there. I mean, you can pretty much focus on one thing and perfect one thing versus trying to spread yourself too thin.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing. And I would dedicate a lot of my success to the fact that I chose to build out the acquisitions model instead of trying to do so many things at once. That really helped. So leveraging other people especially when you're solo. So
very smart. I mean, it's what I do too, guys. Like I dispo as well, but I also leverage dispo wholesalers in my markets who just know more than me to help me sell my deals, guys. It's highly, highly recommended. Whatever market you're in, whatever market you're in, if you hit me up on Instagram, I'll give you somebody in your market. It'll either be me or a friend of mine. There are people all out there. So if you're watching this right now, you want a dispo wholesaler to help you out if you feel like you're an act person, then you 100%, I'll send you guys contacts. I'll just do that for free, right? So awesome. So you connected with the Tranter brothers. How do you get introduced to my content? How do you get introduced to me? Is it through that? How do you learn about the stuff we're doing?
So once I started to get to know more people in the community, I started doing more research on where they learned from and who they learned from, and I saw that was Jamil. So I started soaking up everything that he had online, and that was obviously To the Moon podcast, YouTube channel. So I went to the moon on the To the Moon podcast. I watched some of his podcasts, and I saw that the Tranter brothers had one on there. It really resonated with me. So as soon as I listened to that one, I started going back through and listening to all of them, and I came across you.
Nice.
Saw you were one of the first people that did it. So figured you were one of those.
Like episode 4 or something.
Yeah, it was really early. So I wanted to reach out, and then ever since I heard you, it resonated. So, and we had a very similar business model and what I was trying to replicate. So I was like, all right.
Yeah. And then you started watching, because mostly I haven't been doing as much YouTube content as I should be doing, but you've been doing a lot of the lives, right? You were talking about that. Do you remember the first one you saw? I'm just curious. Do you remember which one?
The first live.
Or at least the one that resonated with you most. It doesn't even matter which one was the first one.
Probably not the most recent one you did, but the one a few months ago where you walk through the day like you're an act manager.
Okay. Cool.
Just because I can take that and even show my act managers now what their day should be looking like. So it's literally free training. It's straight value. So I literally plug them into that, and then they can understand how to work the system that we're using, which is your system.
Right. So talk about how did you find? So did you find it from like other stuff I was doing, or why'd you choose SimpleSend versus any other CRM? Guys, for the people who are watching, if you don't know what SimpleSend is my system. It's my CRM. It's everything I use in order to close deals every single week. We use it constantly. We have all the same templates, all the same scripts. Everything is in there. It's in SimpleSend, right? So when you buy the system, you get everything that's in my business set up automatically. So it's set up exactly how you need to be closing deals, right? So talk real quick why you chose SimpleSend versus any others. There are a lot of others out there, Blaster, whatever, right? Why did you, what attracted you to SimpleSend? What do you like about it?
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't one of those things that I was like comparing them before I saw it. I saw you were having a demo, so I hopped on and I was interested in it. And I knew it was at that point in my business where I was doing deal after every month that I needed to systematize to get to the next level.
Yeah.
So, and you resonated with me. I heard your business model again. So I was like, you know what? If he's winning at it, why would I not replicate what he's doing?
Nice.
I don't need to break the track to success. I mean, you had it laid out, so I just followed that. So.
Awesome. So you buy SimpleSend. What happens in your business? Why? Like, yeah. So like, what happens in your business first?
So I got SimpleSend. I believe it was June of 2023. June of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And the first month I got a deal within 30 days using the system.
Love it.
And it was from a follow-up that I didn't have to send. It was actually a ringless voicemail she called me back on, which was incredible, built out in the system. So that was great. And then I was traveling a lot that summer. I was actually in Europe on some family vacations and whatnot.
Love it.
And I was closing deals and I wasn't even talking to these agents.
I love it.
I had people
Just
calling
automatic.
Yep.
People are just calling you.
Yep.
The systems are sending out automatic text. So people are just sending you deals.
Absolutely.
You're just reviewing them while chilling somewhere in Europe.
Absolutely.
On the beach or something.
Absolutely.
Love it. Amazing.
So it was cool.
So then, okay, so you start using the system. You're like, wow, this is crazy because things are coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's led to 5 to 6 deals a month.
Yep.
Which is amazing.
It's where I'm at too.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the importance of systems.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why was it every other month we're doing a deal every other month?
Mm-hmm.
And then why getting a system makes it where it's 5 to 6 deals a month? Can you like explain that to someone who maybe doesn't have a system watching right now?
Absolutely. So I think at the end of the day, you get your time back when you systematize, and wherever you have more time, you can spend it elsewhere. So you can spend that doing the things that matter more. So for instance, instead of spending your whole day following up with 850, 900 realtors manually, like every 2 weeks, checking in with them, you spend a whole day doing that. And if it's not the whole day, it may be 4 hours, 5 hours of the day. But that drains you, just sitting there sending out follow-ups manually, copy and pasting.
Just in your phone. That's how you're doing it
all
before.
on my phone.
That's
so I was like, all right, this works. Obviously, I have the proof of concept. I'm getting a deal every other month, but I'm not creating enough new relationships a day. Like I would do that. I would spend a few hours doing that, but I would only have an hour and a half, 2 hours left in the day where I could call agents before 6:30, 7 o'clock at night.
Right.
So I would only be able to connect with, say, 15 agents a day. So I was like, I need to be able to continuously build this pipeline out of new agents. So I was like, okay, I need a systematize, find a system that can do the follow-up for me, automate certain things.
Nice. I love it. So you start doing that, right? Talk to me about the biggest growth pain you've had so far. Are you still a solopreneur?
No.
Okay, so what's your team look like?
My team right now, it's me. I pretty much run just the day-to-day, the organizational stuff, make sure my act's performing, handle the meetings and whatnot. I have 2 acquisitions managers.
Nice.
So they're crushing it. They're doing incredible. I have a dispositions rep, and then I have a TC.
Amazing. Yep. So you have like a good, solid team built out. Didn't do any mentorships, just got free training online, got a really good system, and just made it happen.
Absolutely.
I love it. So what are your biggest growing pains right now? Like what's the next step for you? Like what's the things that now you're dealing with in your business today?
Yeah, right now it's just, fine tuning some of the systems. So right now that's getting our KPIs down to a science, because whatever doesn't get measured won't grow. So I need to focus up on tracking our KPIs every single day, regardless if it's systematized or not.
Right.
So I just want to be able to look at the data to be able to see where we're going instead of just, we're doing great. I can't complain, but I want to do better. So I need that's definitely my next move.
I love it. I love it. What are your goals? You're pretty young. How old are you?
22.
22. Incredibly young. So where do you want to go with your wholesaling business? What are your goals? Like, what do you want to be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So in Florida, I want to scale across the whole state, essentially. I want to wait till we're doing around $250,000 a month consistently, just in Florida alone. Pretty much taking over the whole state, doing a bunch of deals with everyone. Yeah. And then I want to be able to pick up that model. Obviously, it's proven at that point. I see exactly who needs to be in what places and what positions to really perform to make that happen. So I want to pick it up and drop it in another state that I'm going to buy rentals in. Nice. So my goal is to own 1,000 Section 8 rentals. So to do that, I need to be in a market where I can cherry pick the best deals. It helps. So
because you don't want to do it in Florida.
I don't want to do it in Florida. Just price points a little bit higher. It's not scalable.
Gotcha. Where do you think your next market will be?
I don't know. It's I don't know. I have to see where things go. I think it's going to be a lower priced market. It's really not. I want to be hyper focused on Florida right now, so I haven't even looked into it.
Okay.
But it's going to be a state that I'm going to buy rentals in. So
Fair enough. So that totally makes sense. I love all of that, right? Let's go back a little bit into your story as well. Like, let's go back, right? So, how do you even hear about real estate in the first place?
Yeah,
Because like you started how long ago?
I was a freshman in college.
So 3 or 4 years?
Just over 3 years. Yeah.
Okay, so 3 years ago, right? You were doing this. You were doing this in college. How did you even hear about real estate? How did you hear about wholesaling? And how did you know it was like right for you? Because here's the thing, like you're obviously crushing it, right? A lot of people, when they have trouble at the beginning, is figuring out what they should be doing, how they should be making money.
Yeah.
So, like, what connected with you about real estate and wholesaling?
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah. So in the beginning, freshman year, I had first semester of college, and I was just tired of being broke. I didn't want to be broke anymore, so I went home and made a promise to myself that winter break, and I was like, I will never be in this position again. I made that commitment to myself.
Nice.
So I went home and I started just doing a bunch of research how to make money online, of course, what every entrepreneur does.
Classic.
So I find drop shipping. I started a drop shipping brand with my girlfriend, Sophia.
That's cute.
Yep. I started a drop shipping company. We do okay. I wasn't, honestly, I didn't love the model completely. We had a couple days that were very good. We had a couple $1,000 days, and it was just that proof of concept that you can make money essentially through thin air.
Yeah.
So like, I don't need to be trading my time for money. I can be anywhere and make money online. So
yeah.
we were continuing running that store. We started early December. We were running that store through early March, and in that, like the second week of March, I ran across a video on TikTok, just scrolling through, and it was I believe it was either Brent or Jamil. They may have been together. It was a TikTok video talking about how you can buy a house no money.
Yeah.
And of course, I fell into it. So
nice. I love it. And you're just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is an amazing business model.
Absolutely.
I want to be doing that.
Absolutely.
I love it. So you go into that, you start just taking action immediately because you're like a college student. You're like, I don't want to be working for money. I want to be making my own money, creating my own businesses, doing all of that stuff. And I love it. And it's super freaking awesome. What's been like, if you had one, like with your friends, because it's so hard for me to even imagine doing real estate this young. Like if you were with one of your friends, right? What do they even say about this? Like, are they intrigued? Are they like, wow, this is crazy? Or like, how do like normal people in your life react?
Now or in the beginning? It's two different.
Both.
So
Let's do both.
in the beginning, people were a little misunderstood of everything that I was doing. They didn't really understand everything. Like, what the hell are you doing online?
Right.
So saying I was going to buy a house, but I had no money. It's kind of ironic. But I mean, people were definitely, like I said, misunderstood me. And my parents supported from day one, though. Like they understood it, and they knew I would perform because I've just been like that pretty much my whole life. And I got a deal pretty quickly. I mean, within 120 days, essentially, I got my first deal sold. It was a JV deal. Made $5,000, so it gave me that concept. But my friends along the way, they were confused. Like, what is he doing? I've heard through the grapevine that he's doing something in real estate. Probably thought I was like an agent or something like that, traditional. And then now everyone's very supportive because they see the fruits of everything. So yeah, I mean,
I love it.
One of my best friends, Beck, he's on my team. He's crushing it.
Yeah,
he's crushing it.
I love it.
Yep, he's an actor manager. My best friend for since second grade. So
nice.
Yeah, he's crushing it.
So let's talk about scaling a little bit because I didn't even know you had a team, which is amazing, which is awesome. Like if you're already doing that, like you got at 22, I mean, you're going to be absolutely killing it really, really soon, especially at such a young age. So, how have you been learning how to hire? What do you feel like people miss about hiring? How they should do hiring? Just in your experience so far, like have you fired anyone yet? Like how new are you to hiring and all that?
Yeah, I had to let someone go. It was kind of mutual. It just wasn't the best fit.
Yeah.
So
what do you feel like are some good hiring tips for people? Like what have you learned just from like the hiring you've done so far? What's been like the lessons you've learned from different people you've hired?
I think anybody can do this business truly, but you shouldn't try to mold someone to be the person that you want them to be. They kind of have to have it. So there's certain traits that I look for. Like the number one thing is if you're coachable, you can be successful in this business. If you don't have an ego, you can put that aside and truly understand getting the rooms. You can learn so much and you can crush it.
Right.
So that's like the number one thing that I've had to deal with. Right now, there hasn't been many problems with hiring, and that will come along the way, especially as I grow. So
How have you been sourcing it? How have you been sourcing the people you find?
honestly, just doing deals. Like I said, I hired my best friend. My other cousin is doing acquisitions for me as well. So I just leverage the people that I know in my day to day. And I
Nice.
think at the end of the day, it's all about who you can bring up with you as well. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So you're starting to hire. You've got a really cool team. Like, what are like the softwares you're using? We were talking about SimplSend,
Mhm.
right? That's obviously the CRM that keeps everything organized. What are you using for, as like a virtual office? I don't know if it's a virtual team or if you actually have a real office, but like, what other softwares would you recommend for people?
Yeah, so I use Discord. I actually replicated your virtual office.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I replicated it, copied it.
That's funny.
It works well. We check in with morning meetings there every single day. It's great. I use SimplSend to run the day to day of the business, so it's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And I use, G Drive for like SOPs, like managing contracts, whatnot.
I love it.
Keep everything organized. I'm trying to think. Really, it's not too much.
So let's talk about personalities, because like I feel the visionary coming off of you immediately, right? Like for people who don't know, there are visionaries and integrators. Visionaries are people who are incredibly good salespeople. They lead organizations, they take them where they're going, and then there are integrators who help a visionary's dream come true, right? What I want to know is, and it's an interesting question for visionary because I know how I would answer this question, but like, how did you know? It's like, look, I think it needs to be acquisitions. I need to be agent acquisitions. And like, how did you know that like dispo wouldn't be for you, for instance, right? Like, how would you advise someone depending on their personality, whether, hey, maybe we should start a dispo company, maybe you actually should do direct to seller. What, I guess maybe the better way of saying this is what makes someone a good personality fit for direct to agent acquisitions? If you'd have to come up with some things, personality.
I think everyone's going to be nervous in the beginning to make calls to agents or professionals in the space. So, you're intimidated off the bat, but once you start just putting in those reps, it's crazy what it can do.
Yeah.
I think if you get energy from talking to people, that you should be doing acquisitions, in my opinion, more than dispositions, because at the end of the day, I feel like when you sell a deal, even most of the deals that we sell in house, like it takes a few texts.
Yeah.
Like if it's a deal, it'll sell in minutes. So it doesn't take as much on the phone. You're not making relationships to the extent I feel like to get deals on the agent side of the business, in my opinion. But it goes both ways. I think that you can do either one and become extremely successful at it. It's just I chose to deal with agents because I felt like I was very good on the phone and having relationships with these people, and it gave me energy. So I was excited to talk to them the next day.
Nice. See, that's the difference, guys. It's like a good salesperson wants to be talking to agents, wants to be talking to sellers, enjoys the process of getting deals. You get a rush when you do that. There's certain people who love that rush, and there's certain people who don't love that rush. And something I tell entrepreneurs constantly is you need to be starting a business that fits your personality. If you're more of an integrator, you need to be way more focusing on dispositions, right? That's going to be what makes you successful for someone who's doing visionary stuff, right? So I think this is very key. I think it's very key to do personality fits for whatever business you're doing, right? So let's talk about next steps. I think I'd love to turn this into almost maybe a mini hot seat just for a second, because I think that's just fun.
Absolutely.
And that's like a good time.
Let's do it.
Right? So let's break down your business right now. Like, we're doing 5 to 6 deals a month. What does that end up being revenue-wise around?
It's really case by case because sometimes things get pushed back, title and whatnot.
Yeah.
$30,000 to $40,000 a month.
30 to 40K a month, which is awesome. It's like 300 to 500K every single year.
We're on track for something like that. So.
Which is awesome. That's amazing. So what we're dealing with KPIs. That's one thing we're dealing with, right? We're dealing with KPIs. We're dealing with are we tracking any KPIs yet? Or are we just doing like no KPIs?
They're ballparking it.
Ballparking it. Okay.
Like we know if the CRM's blowing up with messages and I see a bunch of outgoing calls, I know they've had 50 conversations in a day.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just the main metric typically.
Yeah.
Have 50 real conversations on text or call set.
Yeah.
closer. But 50 conversations a day, we get the deals done. And I just know, like, I mean, realistically, we probably do around like 75, 100 conversations a day, especially my acquisitions managers and whatnot. But as far as tracking exacts every single day, it can be tough. But there's definitely days where they may talk to 30 people. There may be days they talk to 75 people. So we just need to get it more consistent, and that will lead to more consistent flow.
I love it. I love that so much. So definitely tracking it would be good. And then where do you feel like you see problems right now? Like, what do you like to break down for me where you see the problems in your business? Tracking stuff, is it that might be the only problem, because if you're not 100% tracking things, it might be hard to see where
Exactly.
the problems are.
It's tough.
Yeah. So like, do you feel like that probably is just the most persistent problem right
That's
now?
the most persistent for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, I would say that. But I mean, it's always lead gen. That's with any business.
Yeah.
You feel like you're not getting enough leads in every single day. But I mean, I can't complain. We're growing very quickly. A couple months ago, we were doing 2 to 3 deals, and now we're doing 5 to 6. So in no time, we'll be doing 10 plus.
Yeah. So like, I think you just need time and keep doing the things. I just recommend definitely tracking it. Will definitely be super good. Something you should eventually start doing yourself also will be branding. Start doing your own social media stuff, especially because I feel like your girlfriend is the integrator. I have a sense of it. Who's dealing with the systems? Who's dealing with SimplSend? Is it you? Okay. What? She's just doing disposition?
She's running disposition through the system. So she's very familiar with it. She's seen the whole journey along the way. So she's heard all of my calls, seen the system from the beginning. So she understands it to like the full.
There will be a point you are close to that point or at it where you need someone who's an operator. Another word for that is integrator. That could be your girlfriend. I talked to your girlfriend. I think she has a personality for it, right? Is she an owner of the business, or are you the owner?
No,
so either hiring her or hiring somebody or partnering with somebody, whichever one it is, who's going to be doing all the back end stuff is probably going to be the thing that brings you to the next level. That's like what eventually brings you to the next level, where I see most people convert from 40 to 50K to about 100K a month is when they get an operator. Someone who's keeping on KPIs, someone who's making sure like, are you the one like that's dealing with like if accidentally a blast went out, like just at the wrong time and stuff like that? You'll need an operator who's managing all that stuff so that you can just be leading the sales organization. Right? That's going to be the next step for you, where it's like, okay, this is going to powerhouse me, right? Just so you know, that's probably going to be the next step where things start shifting a lot, right? I think you probably are pretty close to being ready for that. I might do it when it's like more like 40 to 50K a month very consistently. Because once you hit that point, you could probably hire one for 5 to 7K a month, like a real American who could do it, right? And at that point, you won't feel stressed about it. Like what I would personally do is if I've hit like 40 to 50K months, 3 months consistently, I'd start doing that. And until then, I might just hire acquisition managers. Because how are you paying them? Is it all?
They're commission based. They make 20%.
Yeah,
for every assignment.
Smart.
Yeah,
smart.
Yep.
So I mean, that's the Pigui model. That's the model we all follow. So maybe one more act manager potentially, possibly, depending. But yeah, you're gonna have to. The next part's what's gonna get you to the next level is management experience and reading books on management, having people who are operators. And here's my one other piece of advice for you is hire people who are better than you at it. That's probably one of the things that I've learned is like, if you hire people who are better than you at the thing, life is so much better. It feels like that's not possible when you're the visionary and the owner. It's like, how they don't run a business.
Exactly.
But there are people out there.
Oh,
there are people who are better at you at it. Right?
Absolutely.
And something Hormozy talks about is once you do that, once you have people in place who are better than you at everything, then you have a $100 million business, basically. Right? So let's talk about a different question though. What's your why? Why are you doing all this?
I mean, everyone has the same in the beginning, financial freedom and whatnot. I want to be able to take care of everyone around me and all of my loved ones. So I want to be able to put them in places that they've never seen and be able to provide them with the best life experience that they've ever even thought of and dreamed of.
Right.
So I feel like that's just my duty, and I want to be able to fulfill that for them. But yeah, I would truly say just really right now it's taking care of everyone around me and just getting to that point where I can let them have that experience. So,
Awesome.
and it's ever changing.
I love
of
that.
course.
So what does that mean exactly? Be more specific though. What do you mean by taking care of everyone around you?
So in the sense of, I mean, financial security at the end of the day. My parents are well off. They do very well
Nice.
and whatnot. But being able to provide them with that next level to life. So
Okay.
essentially just like the top peak of echelon of life and that experience of what that financial security brings them. So in the sense of if my dad still works, I want to be able to retire him completely.
Nice.
They've
Love it.
invested in me completely throughout this journey. So I feel like their retirement plan was me at the end of the day. So it's my duty to be able to provide that for them.
I love it. No, that's a great why. And I love that a lot, right? And it's a really good why. It's like an amazing one. Do you know, have you done the work to think of what's the number that I need to get them so that they have you thought about it?
Yeah. So, I mean, right now, I want to start somewhere and eventually I want to get them to the point where it's a much higher number.
Yeah.
But as of right now, something that's like on the top that I want to be able to get them in the next 24 months or so. And I want to be able to wire them every single month, like 15 grand a month.
I love it. Awesome. It's a good tax way to do it is also to hire your parents at some point. That's the best tax advantage way to do it is to hire them to do certain things in your business. They'd have to be open to that, right? But just FYI, that's like that's a smart way to do it. So why haven't you joined some of the communities? I mean, you're obviously crushing it, right? You don't need to, but what's made it where you just like not taking a leap to join Astro or join SO2 or join any of those communities?
I mean, I think the communities are incredible.
Right.
I even gave advice to some people today, and if I was starting over, I would join a community.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough and blessed to be able to be in college these last 4 years. So I had that stability of not having that many bills. So I didn't need to expedite my learning curve that much. I made it happen, and it works out perfect. So graduating next week. So it was good timing in that sense. But I would definitely join a community if you can, just because it does expedite that. You can learn from other people in the groups and whatnot.
Yeah.
But as far as why I haven't joined one, I feel like what we're doing right now is working. So just double down on that. I know the community, like we could plug into the community, do a lot of deals with a lot of people in the community, which we already do. But I know there'd be that many more people. So I do plan on joining the community, especially like Astro, on principle, just because I learned so much from Jamil himself. So yep, exactly. So principle, exactly. On principle, I have to. So I'll join Astro. But yeah, I mean, it's really, I just didn't want trying object syndrome. So I didn't want to go and join and say,
the reason why you'd want to join at this point, just so you know, it's not even the education, it's just the networking.
Exactly.
Because like, you know, a decent amount of us, you've obviously proven your worth, especially to John and Helena, because I bet you've been doing a ton of deals with them in Florida, right? But even more than that, what it'll be is you'll be open to a network of much more people. So for someone at your level, it would just be to do that, and then also meet more wholesalers and more people that you can help.
Absolutely.
In order to propel yourself forward at the same time, right? Because they, like, I mean, just in the same way you send them deals, people will send you deals. You can do a lot of deals. I'd say probably a third to a half of my money has always been made with community members, probably. So it's something to remember, right? So you said you had a dispo manager. I think you were also talking to me earlier. I don't remember if it was on the podcast that you were talking about how you were exclusively giving it to a dispo wholesaler. Are you still doing that, or is the dispo manager starting to build out their own buyers list, or where are you at now?
So it wasn't like exclusive as far as like they had a contract written out or anything. It was like one of those things that I knew if I wanted to do and grow in this market, I need to be friends with like people that are doing deals next to me. Exactly. And I just wanted to be able to get in those rooms. So to do that, I had to bring them value. And that was my deals. So I was sending John Galon deals, John Helena deals, and we're doing a good amount of them every single month. So it worked out. And then I got to the point where it's just a natural evolution of a wholesaler, especially on the acquisition side. You put some money in the bank eventually. You can afford to put a dispositions manager in place. Then they can go out and build out your dispo side because you take a step back from that side. It's more streamlined. What she's doing, she's crushing it. Sophia runs my dispositions.
Nice.
So she's absolutely crushing it. She adds.
Sophia's your girlfriend.
Yep.
So she is working in your organization.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So
Nice.
She's doing very well. She adds about 5 to 7 qualified buyers every single day to the system.
Amazing.
So I mean that builds up quickly. We have like our 5 VIPs that pretty much buy everything in house. That's a good deal.
Yeah.
But even if we can sell everything in house, I always do want to be able to provide people that I'm friends with just because it's fun making money together.
Yeah.
Even if it's a deal a month, always be able to plug into that. Even if I have to take a step back on, or I'm not making 15 grand extra.
Yeah. So 100%. Yeah. No, I love it. So for people who are watching this right now, because at least for me, one of the other great sources of learning for me was always books, right? Are you a big reader? Do you have any books that you really feel like changed the trajectory in your entrepreneurial journey?
Honestly, I'm more of a podcast guy. I'm just now starting to read a lot of books.
Okay.
So getting into
what podcasts?
Podcast, I mean, To the Moon, I learned a bunch just off hearing people's success stories and where they failed and learning from their failures to make sure kind of mitigate some of that risk, and if there really is any risk, which there's not much. But I mean, all of like the TTP, like wholesale hotline calls, stuff like that, just learning from people going on there, just pretty much soaking up everything that I could on YouTube, on Spotify, podcasts, whatnot. But as far as books, I read Traction very early on to see what I would need to do down the line.
Yeah, that's an advanced book. That's a book that now
I need to read it because it didn't make sense to me in the beginning.
Beginning, that's not a beginner's book. That's like you starting to build an organization.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I just read that at the beginning just because I wanted to see what running a company would be like, because I knew I'd be there. So
yeah,
that's why I did that. I read, of course, like Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah,
and whatnot.
Yep. Big classic ones.
But I mean, Miracle Morning, reading that now, it's a great book.
Love it. So we're also coming from Squad Up Summit, right? Obviously, there's some people watching right now who didn't go to Squad Up Summit. For you, is this your first conference? Have you been to a conference?
First conference. Yeah.
So tell me, like, what was your favorite part about it? Where do you feel like you got the most value out of a real estate conference, or Squad Up Summit in general? Since it's your first one, but like, what do you feel like is the purpose someone should go to a conference like this in general?
Just to get in the rooms. I mean, just to even think bigger. Hearing all the success stories, it's important to realize like you need to always be again leveling up and getting to the point where they're at, and even higher. Like you should always be growing. We're not growing, we're dying. So I just wanted to get in the rooms and network. I've done enough deals with John, Helena. I wanted to go meet them, shake their hands in person and whatnot. So that's why I did that. And I did feel like I got a lot of value, like with Jamil on first day, where he was talking about like, hiring, who to put in what positions and whatnot, pay structure. It was great. I think it was like he was talking to me, and then said,
I should be paying people how I should.
Exactly. It was perfectly catered.
Give us a little example.
Give
us an example of that. Like what?
So for instance, he had even a worksheet that he gave out in the sense of like what your acquisitions managers should be doing on a daily basis. So there's times that my AC managers, now it's a little bit different, but in the beginning, there's times where they hit their KPIs, they think they're good. Like, all right, hit the KPIs, I'm good. Like the deals will come, which they will, but I mean, it's if you want to know. Exactly. So there's times where they don't know what to do with the rest of their day. I mean, even sometimes now they'll clean their inbox out, their outreach would have went out, they've had calls there, and they're good for the extra 2 hours of the day. So he provided us with a sheet of more things they can be doing to make sure that they're optimally performing at the highest level. So I mean, that was cool seeing that. I'm definitely going to implement that. And I think the biggest takeaway too was just being able to, I need to pour into my act people every single day. Yeah. Or at least a few times a week with one-on-ones, making sure that they're always growing, not making sure like, I can't just let them go do their thing, because every day they used to be getting a little
the difference that's going to be better you're going to do, which I think we talked about this earlier, was starting to shadow them, watching them, just doing a full like day, right? That's the equivalent of like what they called back in the day of, not the name for it, but like it used to be when it was like door-to-door stuff, like you just like do a day where you're with them, like hanging out, giving them active feedback right there. It changes how they act a lot, right? So it's definitely a process, but it's definitely worth it too.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know.
That'd be a good one.
That's good to know.
Try that out.
That's what
and the one-on-ones. Those will be life-changing.
Absolutely.
Type of stuff,
absolutely.
Right? So, yeah, man. So I'll also answer that question because I want people to understand like why you should be going to conferences. At least in my opinion, it's always for the networking. I spent maybe an hour seeing one speaker I really wanted to see inside the actual event, and then the rest of it I just hung out outside and networked and said hi to friends. friends and like continue building relationships where we're going to all be making money, right? Because the money is in knowing people. Network equals net worth. That's what everyone says. It just depends on who you know, right? That is the key to doing it, right? So like everyone will hit up Matt after this. If you're in Florida and wholesaling deals, he can help you out a ton. I can help out in Colorado, California, and Florida. I can help you in any market really. But yeah, I mean, I'm here to answer any questions. So is Matt. So like, we'll drop the socials in here later. So it's yeah. So anywho, that's why you want to do it, is just to meet people like us and say hi. They like all of that stuff. Like the reason why Matt's on this podcast right now is he came up to me. He's like, dude, like I'm a SimplSend user. Like I fucking love the program and it helps me so much get deals. And I've been watching your stuff. And like for me as a content creator, that is blissful because we put in so much work making this content. And I see comments and likes, but like I never know how real that stuff is until someone comes up to me and real life. It is different face to face. So why aren't you doing content? Has anyone talked to you about that yet?
Yeah, my girlfriend's always hounding me on I need to get on social media and whatnot. And I do. I think it just comes down to, again, shiny object syndrome. I don't want to go and spend time elsewhere on the content right now. At this stage, I am gonna start doing content. I need to, essentially to build a brand and whatnot. I think that's very important, especially in today's world. Like your Instagram is everything. So, social media in general, I just think right now I just need to focus on building the business itself. And once the business is doing very well,
so
then it's
here's the difference. Here's the quote that's going to change your mind on this, because what you're thinking of right now is you're thinking of the content in the sense of what it can do for you. Here's the issue. Do you feel like you could teach someone how to make $30,000 to $40,000 a month? Like, do
Absolutely.
you? Yes, right? Absolutely. How it is selfish of you not to be showing people how to do that and preventing them from being able to do it themselves when you could be doing that and showing the world, right? In the end, when you start thinking about it, it's actually your duty as someone who's achieved success to be sharing it with the world so that more people can become successful, right? You will see that, like, if you do it, people will see it and they will become successful from it, right? You and I have that. You did the same with John and them, right? And so we'll talk about it after the podcast, but really, you don't need to do much that's different. You've seen my challenges, right? I'm just turning on this on. And recording and doing what I do anyways all day. You don't have to do the fancy Instagram stuff that I do, right? Or the fancy YouTube videos that I do initially. Or you could just start a podcast of some sort, right? I would start, podcasts are great too, because they're just really easy. You just do this, goes live. You don't even need to edit it. You can just leave it up there, right? Realize that you not doing content, you're actually hurting people because they could potentially be learning from you, making their families lives better and all that stuff.
That's good to think
so
about. That's good.
When you put it like that, you're gonna realize you actually have to do it. Yeah, for sure. So I think that's a good next step for you, is just do the basics. Just think of a podcast. I highly recommend getting a co-host. Skorch the Fears I love Skorch the Fears, and it's great because it's based off my name, but it's super annoying to have to be the host always instead of having a co-host, right? And then just be consistent with it. I think this is like episode 119. We get like 50 to 500 views per video at this point. Once it's edited and released. So and it's just like a consistency thing, and you'll see the fruits of your labor also at the same time, because people will send you deals. Of course, and stuff like that. So
it's important.
So anywho, I think that should be a next step. I'm gonna like at least plant the seed in your head that when you leave this, it's like, fuck, I have to do that.
It's my duty.
It's your duty. And I mean that seriously, because I already know I've made millions of dollars for other people just from showing my office, showing my systems, giving it out so that people can use it, right? And you need to be doing the same. So
I agree. I agree.
So anywho, but it's something that Pace told me a long, long, long time ago. So it's
that's good.
And then and you'll see it'll ripple effect. Like I learned the stuff from Pace and Jamil, and then I send it to you, and then you send it to the next person, and it ripples out for generations, right? So I love it. So learned it from the Squat Up Summit. Were there any speakers that spoke to you, or is it mainly the networking, or what do you think?
As far as this weekend,
Yeah.
I mean, the speakers were all incredible in their own ways.
Yeah.
But again, it's for the most part, it's the network.
Yeah.
It's who you meet at the end of the day. I mean, everyone does deals with other people, so
Yeah.
you need people to do deals.
Yeah.
So again, it's just who you meet, whether it's agents, whether it's buyers, whether it's other wholesalers.
Would also be a topic of conversations because you stayed in college while doing this business, right? That's a lot to juggle.
Yeah.
How do you like talk to people about maybe there's like college students who are watching this right now? They want to know like how do I juggle just having a classes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're doing other extracurriculars or whatever, like just whatever you were doing, how do you juggle that and also growing a incredibly successful business? What like strategies and tips do you have for that?
You can absolutely do it because I did it, taking like 5 classes a semester. It's just, again, systematizing helped it completely. So this year, I'm a senior. Having the systems in place gave me more time, but I was working throughout my classes. So I'm not going to sit here and saying I was paying attention in class because I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was on my computer working, doing deals, stepping out of class when I needed to take calls and whatnot. So I didn't let anything hold me back. At the end of the day, we all can make excuses on why we don't have time, but you can make it work.
Yeah.
Whether you're getting up before your classes, staying up a little bit later than usual, you can still text.
So like talk to some, let's get specific though. Like what was your work day versus your class day? How did that work? All of that type of stuff.
Yep.
We'll keep going. I'm gonna like move the camera. Cool. The camera always does this. Hold on a second. Let's have the camera. It accidentally got there. Boom. Stay. Okay. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. So I structured it specifically to my business. So when I would go pick classes and register for them, I would make sure that they were all as early as I could get them. So I had a lot of 8 a.m.s and whatnot. And I also split them up towards the afternoon. So for instance, if I had 5 classes, I would have one at 8 a.m., one at 9 a.m. Sometimes I would skip like an hour so I could get caught up on calls and whatnot. I'd have one at 11, and then I would have one at like 1. And I would just try to stagger it a little bit. That way I could set myself up where I knew I could sit in class and receive inbound texts, leads, and then I would just pretty much time block. So in the class, I would do stuff that
that's key. Talk about what time blocking is. This is a lesson
Absolutely. So pretty much get on a calendar and you schedule exactly when you're going to do things. So for instance, I had class at 8 a.m. So the night before, I'd make sure all the leads are ready to be comped for the morning. I knew I was in class. I could comp properties on my computer either way. So I would sit there, prepare everything to be comped in the morning. 8 a.m. I would comp everything for the day, see what I needed to offer on right away. So, and then my 9 a.m. class, I prepared all the offers, make sure all the sheets were good, proof of funds, we had everything drafted up, be sent if they were going through email, whatever that may be. Got those all done, and then pretty much I lined up calls for 10 a.m. and got on the phone, blocked the contracts and whatnot. But time blocking is just essentially where you block off time for something and you only do that thing that you say you're going to do.
Right.
So,
awesome. So how'd you learn about time blocking?
John
taught you about it?
Yeah.
Well, that makes me feel good because I think I told him about time blocking. So that's like
full circle.
Yeah. So I think hopefully, I didn't actually remember 100%, but yeah, time blocking is very key for just running a business in general. Because it makes you realize where you're spending your time too, guys. I have all my act managers do it. It's an audit of your time and your space and like what you guys are doing, right? So time blocking, any other tips and tricks you give for someone who's in college? Like how would because you're in college, you're dealing with all sorts of different things. Like, I don't know, what do you feel? What advice do you give specifically for a college student who's trying to be an entrepreneur? Anything other than time blocking or just time blocking?
If you're in a business that can be systematized, definitely systematize as fast as you can because that'll give you your time back. And then you don't need to be doing the low paid hour per task things that you shouldn't be doing essentially. So
how do you delegate those? Where do you delegate those to?
So for instance, I mean, simple as using SimplSend got me all of my time back that I spent sending the follow-ups every day. I would spend 6 hours a day sending follow-ups. So it would take my whole day, essentially. Just following up with 800 agents at a time. So just trying to get time back as much as I could. And then just pretty much, I would seriously say time blocking was one of the biggest things that got me through and being able to do both things at the same time.
Nice. Love it. Amazing. So let's talk about a little bit. We're talking about time blocking. We're talking about college and all of that. Why did you keep going through college? Just curious, because
Yeah.
a lot of people are just like, I'm just making so much money. I'm making 10 times the money I make for any college job degree that I get.
Yep.
So what made you want to complete your degree? Why didn't you just be like, you know what, I'm making such a freak ton of money.
Yeah.
I want to be a real estate investor. Like, why am I doing this?
So I looked at it as just, I didn't see, this is why I said you should get a mentor early on if you can and you're able to, just because it will expedite your learning curve.
Right.
So it took me about 2 years to see success where it was like, okay, this is like really working.
Yeah.
And I'm like making a good amount of money doing this. So I was 2 years in. I was a sophomore. It's like I could go another 2 years and I'm done, and I could say I did both.
Right.
So I thought that would have been a better part of my story, honestly.
Yeah.
And it gave me runway. I knew that it was the perfect environment, and I go to a great school in general. So I'm not going to hate on that at all. It was incredible, an incredible time and whatnot. So I think it really just gave me runway. I knew that I could do both, and it wasn't going to stop me.
Was it also because you knew your parents would be willing to pay for your bills while you're doing college?
Exactly. So yep, exactly. So that's, again, they invested in me. I need to invest in them. Yeah. So it gave me runway to where I knew I would graduate out of a very successful company at the end of the day. Nice. So I'm going to college. I'm coming out with a very successful company.
I love it, which is amazing, dude. Yep. Like, it's really, really cool doing it through college. Like, that's very impressive. Like, it's an awesome story, right?
Thank you.
So we're at 51 minutes. We're starting to get to the tail end of the podcast, right? So there's a few questions I always like asking at the end of the podcast, which is, I think we could have a really good conversation about this. If you could go back to yourself right when you're starting in real estate or your first business, what would you say to yourself then, knowing everything that you know now?
What would I say to myself? I mean, I'm not one of those guys that regrets anything. I think everything happened the way it should have happened to get me to this point. I think if I changed one thing, I wouldn't have ended up here. So
yeah,
I'm not going to say, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. So, but I think at the end of the day, someone can get value from me telling them this before they start. So I would say find the right model, find what you're good at, find what gives you energy, and do it to the best of your ability. And like, you can come up with excuses, but drop the excuses and just get to work.
Nice.
So
love it.
Yep.
Love it.
Whether that's calling agents, if you want to build a direct agent business, start calling agents, even if it starts with 15 a day, 10 a day. It starts moving the needle. So
were you having trouble calling agents?
No. Honestly, I wouldn't have changed much. I mean, I really do like where everything is at now.
Yeah.
And I want to continue growing. So I'm not going to say I want to go back and change everything. It helps me here. So
I love it. I love it so much. Where do you feel like you would tell like a new college student, like let's say it's like, dude, I saw you learned everything off YouTube. Where do I go? Who should I be following? What should I be watching for? What would be like the most helpful? How do I do? Like, what do you feel like? So I'm impressed by the fact you did it all through YouTube University too. You haven't paid any mentors yet, right? So how do you feel like you, or where would you tell someone to start generally?
Yep, I would say find someone that has a business model that you want to replicate, whether that's direct to seller, direct to agent. If it's direct to seller, go subscribe to Brent Daniels and follow all of his work and watch all of his content, soak it all up.
Yeah.
Or if you want to do direct agent like we do, follow Jamil. I mean, he's the best in the business. Obviously. So follow Jamil, follow everybody that he's posting online, whether it's on a podcast, they're doing something right. Just replicate that. It's not hard to replicate. I mean, just do exactly what they say and you will see success. It's not even a question. So
100%. Yeah. I'm just very impressed. Like you, I mean, I know you probably were talking to John and Elena a lot, but like you also like, what do you feel like? How do you feel like you can connect with someone like John and Elena, or like me, or like someone who's like really busy running their businesses, or like you? Like, what do you feel like someone should do to come up to one of us?
Yeah.
And how should you approach that?
Absolutely. You don't want to just be like another one of those people that walk out.
There are a lot.
Of course. Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, you need to get your foot in the door. And the way to do that when you don't have too much is to provide value any way you can. Today, I introduced myself. I said, I use SimplSend, your software. Provides you value, showing you feedback that's positive and that helps you. So that's how I've provided feedback to get myself in the door to talk to you and have that conversation. And here we are. So it's full circle. So John, for instance, I knew that he was doing a bunch of deals and I knew I wanted to get in his network, his ecosystem. So I was like, I'm going to find the best deals and I'm not going to be able to sell lots of trash deals and just send them over. You'll end up on a list that you're not going to get any feedback on your deals, whatnot. So I started sending him deals that I knew that we could sell. And I sent them to him to get myself in that door. And he sold them. And
what you did was you added value.
Exactly.
Somehow.
Exactly.
To that other person. That's that's the underlying current there, is you're adding value in a way that we want to add value. I didn't add me, I'm not asking you, or you're not asking me how to add value to my business.
Yep.
You're just doing it.
Yep.
Right? For me, anyone who's a SimpleSend subscriber, I want to see mad success, obviously, because A, that's awesome, and B, and I love this camera, and B, you can get it right back. There we go, right there. And B, A, it's just cool to hear. B, it makes it where my products, you see the greatness of my products. And C, now I'm also feel like, okay, I'm connecting with someone who's actually bringing success, going to bring success into the world. I can see it, right? I can feel that energy off of it. And so then we can start doing real estate.
Absolutely.
Deals, right?
Absolutely.
So,
we will.
Which we will.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of stuff of like the positives of you've got to be bringing value first somehow. And you got to just do it without asking how to do it. You just have to know what's the way to get in the door with someone, what they're looking for, right? With John and Elena, I'm going to bring you all deals. With me, it's just saying you're a SimpleSend subscriber. I already have a soft spot for anyone who's a SimpleSend subscriber, right? So yeah, that's more or less it, right? So with how to bring value. So real quick, I'm gonna go up to this thing. Tell the people your like socials. I'm gonna try to type it in here. I know we got it like this, but like tell the socials so that I can like bring it up on the screen real quick.
So my Instagram is Matt MATT Cunningham CUNNINGHAMJ.
That's it.
Yep.
So follow him on Instagram, guys. He's going to be releasing a lot of content soon. I'm going to convince him of it because I want to see him go madly successful. Follow him right there. There's going to be a lot of stuff there. Matt, you've been an amazing guest. Real quick, just what are your you got any last words for the crew before start ending this?
Yeah, just take action. Take action. At the end of the day, it'll change your life. So in anything you do in life, just take action on it and do it at the best possible level that you can perform.
I love it. Guys, that's episode 119 of Skorch the Fears. I appreciate all of you guys. We are now switching where I'm doing hard after this episode, 6 p.m. MST every single week. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for the support. Matt, you've been amazing. Love this. Skorch the Fears, episode 119. Let's freaking go.